Now, I want you to take a very good look at this image. Because the white media loves to drag out any pictures that they can, and they've been on a tear about this the last few years. Anything that they can find to have a black person shown basically in a subservient position towards the police, making nice with the police, especially black youth. This is damnable to be doing this. You got white supremacists who have thoroughly infiltrated law enforcement at all levels in the United States. You got police chiefs who happen to be dyed-in-the-wool white supremacists. Right now, you got one police chief from New Jersey, Bordentown, New Jersey, clown called Frank Nuncera. This guy's on trial right now for assaulting a black child, a police chief who did this, spewing all sorts of anti-black racial invective. Oh, and he lied to the FBI, by the way. Oh, this is the top cop in Bordentown. And this is what the police do towards black children. I did a video years ago, which I'm probably going to have to recompile and put it together again from scratch, talking about how a Birmingham police officer decided of her own accord, when some black children's parents had overdosed, she decided that she would cradle one of the black children for a photo op, and had one of her fellow thugs in blue take the picture. And what a surprise! Her husband immediately started carpet bombing every Alabama outlet he could get his hands on online on Facebook and telling them, you guys need to run with this story. People don't see this. Yeah, people don't have the white media praising the police enough. The white media never puts the police on a pedestal. Right? I want black folks to understand something. This picture that you're seeing here, this ain't got a doggone thing to do with Christianity. Black folks are the masters of trying to hide behind Christianity in order to conceal our cowardice. There is nothing Christian about trying to make nice with white supremacy's attack dogs. Ain't nothing Christian about it. You read your Bible, which most black people don't. When Jesus Christ was being hounded and persecuted by the Pharisees, he didn't say, hey, let me go ahead and pray with these Pharisees. Let me go ahead and pray for you guys. When the Romans came to take him to his death, he didn't say, let me pray with you. When Judas betrayed him, he didn't say, well, Judas, let me pray with you. Before Judas betrayed him, he said, go and do what you're going to do, because we both know you're going to. And after Judas had betrayed him, he didn't say, well, Judas, maybe I can pray with you, and maybe God will have mercy on your soul. Instead, the only thing Jesus said to him was, you betray me with a kiss. He was not playing games with Judas. He wasn't trying to show Judas the angels of his better nature. When it came time to deal with the Pharisees, Jesus didn't say, let me pray with the Pharisees. I forgive you. Instead, he said exactly the opposite. He said, you are of your father, the devil. He was a murderer from the beginning, and just like him, you are no different. And y'all all going to hell. That's what he told the Pharisees. You see, that's what happens when you actually decide to see how Jesus dealt with those who were adversarial toward him. Did he forgive people? Only the ones who actually wanted to be forgiven. Those are the people that he saved his forgiveness for. He saved grace for the ones who actually wanted it. For the ones who were out here doing bad and who were completely unremorseful, he wasn't in a forgiving mood for that. You see, a lot of people, they like to use the Bible and selectively read it, especially black people. Why aren't you standing up to white supremacy? Well, it's because of forgiveness, and I'm going to leave it in the hands of God. Funny, you never do that with black people. With black folks, it's hands-on. Can't wait for God. Jesus moving too slow. But when it comes with white supremacy, when it comes to not standing up to white supremacy, well, that's because we're leaving it in God's hands. Black people are the only ones who hide behind false piety, and we think we're fooling someone. We're not. White supremacy can see that black folks have this mental block, and it's not a matter of black folks are scared of prison. We lead the league in white supremacy locking us up, so prison is clearly not what scares us. We're not afraid to die for something, especially if it's ego or pride in the hood. We got no problem dying for that. or dying on behalf of the white media giving us a pat on the head because we did something that made white folks say, oh, you're a good Negro. We'll die for that. We'll die for approbation from the dominant society. We'll do that. But what about fighting white supremacy? Whether it's the alt-right thugs or the thugs in the police. Well, black folks, we're hiding, we're running for the hills. We can't do that. Black people abuse that term forgiveness. We abuse that word all the time. We are the only people who invoke the word forgiveness, not because we want to invoke it because of something that we did but should not have done. We invoke it because we refuse to do something that we should have done. That's when we bring it up. We try to hide behind forgiveness in order to cover up our lack of nerve, to cover up our refusal to do what we know that we should. And when we have black people, especially black youth, especially black young men, or rather males, I should say, who are out here doing all this attention whoring, and they're out here anything for some attention, especially from the wrong people, that is suicidal. And they paint a target on all of our backs because the white media uses these clowns as fodder for the anti-black propaganda campaign. White supremacy has found itself on the defensive because there has been revealed to the public how the police actually behave, and it's been on a steady basis. People finding out exactly how the police behave and have always been behaving. So the white media is trying to push back. They're trying to manufacture a counter narrative. And the counter narrative is going to be propped up by a bunch of images of black people, especially young black males, who just can't wait to befriend the police. Why? Young black males understand that the cops are their friends. This is what the white media is trying to push. And they're not doing it just for the sake of. They're doing it as trying to figure out how do we go back on the attack against black people. Because the police have been seen as legitimate, but they're losing their legitimacy, as we see in Dallas. It's one thing when the public is protesting the police, but when the police say, we have solved a crime, and the entire public says, no, you murdered so-and-so. And we do not believe you. And it's not just a few people. When you got the entire public who are of one accord, what that lets the police know is the white media has lost control of the narrative. The image of the police as being legitimate is a media fantasy. It's an invention of the white media. Prior to, say, the 1950s, the police were seen as mostly stealing apples from vendors, and they had a rotten reputation. There's a reason why from Britain to the United States, whether it be Sherlock Holmes or Sam Spade, whenever it came time to talk about crime solving, you would have it being done by private detectives. And the reason why is, we're talking about white folks, by the way, didn't trust the police, had a poor opinion of the police. They were incompetent, corrupt, brutal. They were a lot of things, but respected wasn't one of them. Now, when did the image of the police start to change? Because if you had had decades of private detectives being the ones who were solving crimes, and the police being a bunch of incompetent or brutal thugs just getting in the way, who nobody trusted, then when did things start to change? Things started to change about the time that this wannabe police groupie named Jack Webb put a show on TV called Dragnet. Now, you can go look it up online. I'm not going to do all your homework for you. But Jack Webb himself expressed how the police had had a rotten reputation before he came along. And part of his deal was that he was going to try to rehabilitate the image of the police. But in his case, rehabilitation's out of the question. To be rehabilitated, you would have had to have been well in the first place. The police's reputation was never well. But Jack Webb put on Dragnet, and what Dragnet did was it set the frame for a societal narrative that the white media would run with, that the police basically walk on water. And that's been the driving force behind most broadcast entertainment ever since. Really kicked into high gear with the 60s because you had black folks demanding their rights, and well, you need to justify the police turning attack dogs on people because there's all these images of the police being brutal thugs, being themselves. So the white media felt the need that we really got to show people that the police are the good guys, and if they use force, well, it's because these bastards deserve it. Now, the public doesn't understand how much they owe to the police. So that's what's been going on. That's the fake impression of legitimacy that the police have had. It's been largely given to them by the white media. But the white media is losing control of the ability to dominate and monopolize the public's eyeballs. They're losing mind share. And it's kicked into high gear in recent years because of the new voices of black media. So the white media is trying this desperate attempt, and we have got to make sure we start policing ourselves. This kind of crap is off code as hell. You are helping the police try to play like it's fun and games out here. As if, oh, the police don't treat black people any differently than anyone else. Why, look at this over-the-top crap that even white folks don't do. And you don't see the police gunning this young black man down. Well, that's because they understand you can't do it while you're in front of the camera. The police will stoop to any low to deceive the public. They're a street gang with badges, but like any state-sanctioned terror squad, they rely on the use of propaganda to confuse the gullible and to give talking points to the corrupt members of the society who think they're getting something out of having a taxpayer-sponsored group of thugs. For example, take this image from a false news story just last year. Fox News made sure to use the white media's favorite phrase when talking about the thugs in blue: a side of law enforcement the public doesn't get to see. They act as if, oh, the police have never been shown in a positive light ever in American history. We need to show people the side of the police that they don't get to see. No, all we ever see is the police being lauded and praised and put on a pedestal by the white media. So you can save it with that crap about a side of the police the public doesn't get to see. We don't get to actually see a lot of police culture. Most people know nothing about their local police because the police have up the blue wall. So if the local members of the gendarmerie want to know, well, why is it that the public doesn't get to see this side? It's because of the police. The police always have that blue wall up. They got the blue wall up because they don't want the public to see what the police really do. Now, this image happens to be of the Dallas Police Department only a few months before they murdered Botham Jean. Now, in the photo that False News posted on Twitter, they show a black baby in the clutches of a police officer. Amazing that the child survived. And the white media plays it as if only this white cop cared about the child on the scene of the crash. Only the white cop cared because only white cops do care. But it's only when you see the video itself, and I got a still image from that video. When you take a look at the actual video itself, you see that predictably False News cropped the image. That way they could cut out the image of the black officer who's also holding one of the baby's siblings. This is what you get from the white media. The white media is literally only giving you half the story. That's not even a figure of speech. They cut the picture in half so they could show you the part that they wanted to show you and leave out the rest because they're trying to push a narrative that is a total and complete lie. Because that's what all of this storm, this steady stream of, oh, here's the police making nice with the public, but they want to make sure that it's always a white officer with a black child. Can't be an Asian officer. Can't be a black officer with an Asian person, with an Asian citizen. It's got to be a white cop with a black person, especially a black child. They're trying to figure out how to use black babies in specific to pull the heartstrings of the public, but what also gets delivered is the message of, well, you need these white cops to take care of these black babies because these black parents aren't doing it. Or these black parents would be helpless without these good white cops. That's the subtext being given. That's what the dominant society takes away from it. Why, if we didn't take care of these little nigger babies, who the world would? These black parents certainly aren't qualified to do it. Oh, they didn't have a chance without us. That's the message being delivered. So anything the cops choose to do is okay because, well, they took a photo op with a black baby once. This isn't about cops caring about children. It's about manufacturing a PR stunt to protect white supremacists in law enforcement. But you only see the white media play up these phony baloney, fake as hell photos when the child is black and the officer's white. The rest of the time, they don't care about any of that. Black officer rescues a child from a car crash at the scene. Well, that ain't the story. That's not the story. Then you would have to just say Dallas police in general. And you wouldn't have the image that you wouldn't have the phony baloney image that you're trying to concoct. This is about trying to manufacture a counter narrative to the reality of how police attack black people. This is about trying to manufacture an image library. And I told you about that with Egypt Black and Proud back in the day that I did over a dozen years ago. How the white media understands that when they're trying to push a false narrative, you got to start with images. And that means you need images and a lot of them. So the white media has been experts at manufacturing their own image libraries, coming up with a bunch of fraudulent images and then creating stories around these false images. And by the time it's all over, people start to think that there's something basically inherently legitimate about it. Well, that is if they don't have anyone to tell them differently. As black people, we got to go on full alert whenever the white media and the enforcement arm of white supremacy use black babies as props for some self-serving PR stunt. It's bad enough you got some dumb Negro who thinks that it's cute to be taking pictures smiling with the police. So a lot of people, they think that this is the same as, oh, I was at the local zoo and I got very close to the primate enclosure, and oh, one of these big apes could have torn me limb from limb, but there was a protective glass there and they couldn't get through it, and I was okay. To them, they think that's what they think. To them, this is like some sort of stunt. Ooh, look how close I got to the cops. They could have killed me, but I took a photo, see? Isn't that different? I hope I get some clicks on Instagram. This has got to be worth a couple of clicks on Twitter or YouTube, right? That's what these people do this stuff as. A lot of black people, as far as they're concerned, it's more important that they get attention than it is that they show common sense. You know what? These cops who you see who are just so eager to get their hands on black children, they're running a scam. They will go online and threaten black children on Facebook, and they will be on video harming black children. And the white supremacists and the police routinely murder black children like 8-year-old Ayanna Jones. Charlene Lyle's baby was killed in her womb. Oh, but they care about black babies so much. Family, it is not cute when black people allow white supremacist cops to get black children to become props for a PR stunt. It is not some victimless crime whenever you have black people decide that they're going to play footsie with white supremacy's attack dogs. Well, you got black people who think that it's cute because they know that the white media will cover it. Black people know that if they make nice with the members of the local Klan, or if they go to the police, they already know that the white media is drooling on itself to try to do some sort of feel-good nonsense about the police. Oh, the police should just walk on water. Oh, they are God's gift. Black people know that. They understand how the place that the police occupy in the minds of the dominant society and the white media. So, hey, you want to get yourself some 5 minutes on the local news. You want to get yourself 30 seconds, actually, is all you're going to get. But if you want the white media to look and say, look at this dumb nigger over here, well, we can go ahead and use him for a photo op. And black people know the scam. They know the game, and they're playing along with it. But white supremacy is not playing a game with them. And as a people, we cannot afford to take this kind of crap lightly. This kind of mess right here, this kind of mess sets up the next killing of a black person by some thug in the white supremacist thug in the police department. Black people who do this mess and black parents who think it's cute to allow it, you should always be the first one to be ready with a cease and desist letter. If you see that the white media is using your child in order to try to prop up the police, you should be the first ones to put the kibosh on that. You should never be wanting to allow that mess to stand, ever. For any reason. Black children should never, never talk to the police. Police got something to say, you can talk to the child's parent, but you don't come up to this kid. Oh, you see some black children who are playing b-ball at the park. You don't let these cops come up to them and say, oh, hey guys, how about a game? How about not? The black children, especially black boys, should never talk to the police for any reason. These white supremacists who got their hands on badges, they are not your friends. They are the enforcement arm of white supremacy. And who they are enforcing against is you. When some white supremacist with a badge comes up to your child, he's there to see if he can harm that child. That child is in danger. We need to recognize the reality of the situation. They are there, as far as they're concerned, they're gathering information on the local black children in the area. Oh, I'll go up to these kids and I'm going to see about finding out what their names are. Find out if they'll tell me something, preferably about their parents. See if I can get some information. That's what they're doing. They're not coming up to these kids for any other reason than that. And these Negroes who think it's cute to do some attention-whoring stunt in the hopes of going viral, these morons will wind up like Stephon Clark and Stacey Dash. Stephon Clark, he thought that it was cute to do that Blue Lives Matters crap. He was out there doing the whole Blue Lives Matter line. And he wound up going viral in a video with the police. Just not the way he would have thought. Stacey Dash, she was doing the same crap. And when her white husband decided to call the police, Stacey Dash went viral too because of her interaction with the police. Just not the way she would have liked and not the way she would have thought. See, when you decide that you're going to play with the viper, you will always wind up getting bit. That's the reason why I did that video essay about how the white supremacist police in Birmingham used a black baby as a prop. And they methodically, deliberately, calculatingly, with cold, ruthless efficiency, contacted every white media outlet they could because they were trying to find a way to get some attention for this. Only a couple thousand people actually cared to bother about the story, but with the white media, when it's something that they're trying to make into a thing, the bar for what constitutes as going viral can never be too low. 5 people looked at something. Oh, it's going viral. Viral used to mean that hundreds of thousands of people saw something. No, not with the white media. At the very least, I would think if tens of thousands of people saw something, but for something to go viral means that it was over, above, and beyond. It dominates mind share online. But with the white media, nah, they use that term just to stick it onto something that they want to give attention to. To them, it's nothing more than opportunistic branding. And they're trying to milk it for everything it's not worth. This is the white media doing the ethno-propaganda equivalent of not all cops are like that. Well, where are the stories about the good cops who ran the bad cops out of the police department? We see corruption being exposed, but only after years and years and years. Today I posted on my Twitter feed, I posted about how the Dallas police in 2004 had a scandal involving drugs. They planted 330 kilos of cocaine on unsuspecting citizens. Innocent citizens who the Dallas PD planted 330 kilograms of cocaine on. By the way, that's 150 pounds. That's what 330 kilograms are. It's 150 pounds. That was back in 2004 when they were doing this. I thought it was important to recover that story because I wanted black people to know that when the Dallas PD tell you, hey, we found 12 pounds of marijuana in Joshua Brown's apartment, well, before you get ready to say, oh, well, that must mean something, keep in mind the Dallas PD planted 10 times that much. Planted 10 times that much on innocent citizens. Now, what does that tell you about the Dallas PD's narcotics vault? What does that tell you about the Dallas PD's narcotics lockup? What that tells you is they keep a huge stash of drugs on hand. You run off with 150 pounds worth of cocaine and nobody noticed. What does that tell you? They don't use drugs as some sort of evidence in court. They use it as a means to make cases on people. This is how they get to lock people up. It's used for that and nothing else. It ain't about getting drugs off the street. It's about having a pretense for what it is that they really want to do. The white media is a fraud. And in many cases, you've got black people allowing black children to play along with the scam. Or you got some empty-headed Negroes who think that it'll be something cute to do, because as a black person especially, you know that with black people with the black media exposing the truth about the enforcement arm of white supremacy, if you're a black person with more ego than sense, you know that all you got to do is take a picture with some white cops and the white media will immediately spread that. You get to have some attention. Look at me, woohoo! Because dumb Negroes love attention, especially from non-black people. They'll risk their lives, or the lives of their children, or the lives of other black people to get some chumps online to acknowledge their worthless existences. They're playing with fire here. And we as a community, we as a people are the ones who wind up getting burned. Setting up the next act of anti-black police violence. We must be clear about the police's anti-black racism, not playing footsie with them. White supremacy depends on dumb Negroes to help them create and spread lies that the police aren't as bad as all that, as if anti-black racism by the police is only limited to the proverbial few bad apples. These dumb Negroes who do this, they think that if they make nice with the race soldiers, that they won't be the thugs and blues' next victim. That's what this is really about. This is equal parts attention whoring and cowardice. It is betrayal of the black community because the police are not sitting there thinking, oh, what a feel-good moment. What they're thinking is good. The white media is going to post this online, and we're going to have some push and pull going on because white supremacy depends upon confusion. Creating confusion in order to perpetuate itself. Well, I heard this story I saw this video of the police gunning down an unarmed black man and the black community is up in arms. But here we got two stories about two black kids who are shaking hands with the police. You got this one over here praying with Florida police. Well, it's kind of a wash, you know. I guess the white media is right when they say that it's more complex than that. You know, you can't just say that the cops gunning down black folks left, right, and center is the whole of the story. Why, here's a picture of a black person praying with the police and they didn't gun him down. Oh, well, I guess that must mean that, as the white media loves to say, it's just a few bad apples. The police as an institution are not anti-black. It's just a few bad apples. No, we're going to have to make sure the black folks who decide to deliberately or inadvertently, and I put inadvertently in quotes, because black folks who are out here doing this mess, they know exactly what they're doing. And putting black children up to this as if the black child looked and said, oh, I just want to go door to door trying to find every police officer I can and shake their hand. When the hell's a black child ever decided they want to go door to door and looking for civil servants who they can shake the hands of? Black children do not do that. That is something that they're put up to by their stupid parents. Because their parents know that the white media will have cameras in tow. And ain't it interesting how it always goes like that? Whenever you got some black person out there who does some habitual attention whoring with the police department, the white media's cameras are never far behind. Half the stuff that you see going on is staged. You ain't got to dig very far to find out that a lot of these clowns who allow themselves to be used as props for the white media's pro-police PR, many of these people have direct ties with the police. They think that it's cute. Making nice with these guys is not going to make the police less reluctant to harm you. Stephon Clark tried that. How'd it work out for him? But this is what the cowardly and the stupid do. Intelligence requires hard work, and dumb Negroes are scared of hard work, so they resort to half-baked schemes and stunts like this. White power gives them a pat on the head and they think they're winning, but all they're really doing is just setting themselves up and setting up other black people. Under white supremacy, nothing happens in a vacuum. These attention-whoring PR stunts, to the Negroes who take part in it, they may think to themselves that it's an end unto itself. Hey, the local news station talked about me. Or, hey, I was on Yahoo, buried somewhere in Yahoo News. Hey, they posted a story about me on Fox News' website. So people know my name. There's some people who actually know my name. Yeah, until the next attention-whoring Negro comes along in 5 minutes. It's like waiting for the freaking bus. Yeah, you're going to have people's eye until 5 minutes from now, till the next fool comes along. White media knows exactly the game that they're playing, though. This is not about feel good. This is about counter PR, some sort of propaganda to counter the reality of what the public knows about the police. Now that the police are being exposed, we got to manufacture some sort of counter narrative. Well, we have got to push back hard as hell with the truth. This stuff is not okay. As a people, we must exercise a zero tolerance policy regarding playing along with the white media's attempts to confuse the public. The violent nature of the white supremacists in the police, that is not something to play around about. And we cannot tolerate anyone deciding that they're going to give cover to the white supremacists. If the police want their reputation to improve, then they're going to have to do it themselves. And what that means is cleaning out the white supremacists. But how can they do that when the police chiefs themselves are white supremacists? Negroes who use pictures with the police as a form of attention whoring, they gotta be called out. And we have to go on 3-alarm ballistic when the white media uses black babies for their PR. There should be lawsuits flying left, right, and center. This is child exploitation, full stop. The only images, words, or gestures of support for the police that should be out there, they can only be legitimate if they come from us. And since the police have acted reprehensibly, we will never put forward such images. The white media isn't doing these half-baked attempts to fool the public simply because they're doing it as part of helping to confuse the public. To try to manufacture and prop up the lie that there's a other side to the reality of police violence. That's what they're trying to. Well, what about the other side? Yeah, the other side that they manufacture. The other side that they're fabricating. The other side that they're making up out of whole cloth. A picture is worth 1,000 words, but nobody ever said the 1,000 words were not lies. A picture can be worth 1,000 lies in the hands of the right white media. The police are one of the most glorified and overpraised institutions in the society. Who the hell has run on what politician or political candidate has ever run on a platform of punishing the police for their crimes? Who runs on a platform of promising to put the police in prison? What politician has ever run on a platform of calling out the fraud of Blue Lives Matter laws? Who's ever run on a platform of we're going to repeal those Blue Lives Matter laws? Who's run on that platform? What media personality has called out the police? Who in the white media takes on the police? Who can you think of in the white government, white media, or so-called black organizations who's on a crusade against the police? No one. Even so-called black organizations, they're not on a crusade against the police. They're not on a crusade against police violence. Nobody is out there actually taking on police corruption. Nobody. So what's this other side business? Seems that the pro-police side is not merely well represented. That's the only side we ever get to hear about. It's only in the last few years that we've actually gotten the other side. The police's anti-black violence, that is the other side. The police's rampant corruption, that is the other side. That's the side of the police that you don't get to see. All you get to see is CSI and Law and Order, where it's nothing more than one sloppy kiss after the next being given to the police. Oh, how great thou art. No, we're finally getting the truth now. People are finally seeing the other side, the real side, the side that the white media won't show them. So the white media is going, oh, we gotta cover the public's eyes again. We gotta blind the public again. Oh, we know. We'll just go ahead and find some attention-whoring Negroes. Sadly, there's no shortage of those. And hey, here's some idiots who think they'll get some attention by taking some photos with the police. Let's go ahead and prove them right, and let's encourage more of this garbage. Why put out propaganda like this when no one is challenging the police? Why would the white media do that? It's because this propaganda is meant to deceive the public, to prevent the public from challenging the police, because that's who the police need to keep in check. That's who the police have to keep fooled. The public know full well what the police do. They see what the police do, but the police need to make sure that the public never does anything about it. How does a corrupt and vicious minority control a majority of people? They can't do it through force because there's not enough of them. They instead have to do it through lies, clever lies, insidious lies being pumped out 24/7. I've told you before and will tell you again that when it comes to the black community, white supremacy subjects the black community to a continual, non-stop, daily breaking process. Every day, the breaking process must be carried out again and again and again. You have to make that into part of the daily routine for the oppressed. Every day, they're being mind broken all over again. Every single day, they must be broken over and over again. And you do that psychologically through the employment of non-stop lies. Lies that make the oppressed into accessories in their own corruption. And it becomes doubly perverted when you got members of the oppressed who who decide that they're going to be proactive in forwarding and promoting the lies. You have to convince the oppressed majority that the ruling elite and their institutions have some sort of legitimacy. And this is the social equivalent of abused wife syndrome. You show a little phony benevolence to the people that you're victimizing, and the victim will become confused. This is the power of letting vicious people get away with claiming that they're compassionate. This is what happens. The victims start to get confused about what they're dealing with. The abuser, the victimizer, doesn't get to tell the victim that they're not so bad. But that's what we're allowing the white media to do. We're allowing the white media to tell us, the victims of white supremacy, that white supremacy's attack dogs aren't so bad. Okay, well, maybe if black people don't fall for it, that's okay, though. Black people are not the majority in the society. So we're going to pump these lies out to the majority of the society. And what's going to happen is, well, when black people tell the truth about the police, whenever the truth about the police comes out, spills over into the nightly news, spills over into the headlines, the police can't contain it. Well, the public's going to look and say, well, we see what you're saying about the police having gunned down yet another unarmed black person. And we see what you're saying about the police planting 150 pounds of cocaine on innocent citizens. But there's also this black kid over here who's praying with the police in Florida. And hey, they show another story over here about this black fool in Alabama who actually has the police pretend to arrest him so that he can surprise his girlfriend with a wedding proposal. You got black people acting like the police are their friends. The police have not acted friendly towards us. They have not earned the right to be able to say that they are our friends. My friends do not kill pregnant women and their children. My friends do not gun down 8-year-old children. My friends do not barge into a man's apartment and then gun him down and turn around and lie about it and say, well, I thought he was a threat. I had no choice but to kill him. My friends do not rape black women. My friends do not do those things, but the enforcement arm of white supremacy, they do all of these things. If the police want to have their image rehabilitated, well, the best way not to get into trouble is to stay out of it in the first place. When the police's behavior changes, then their reputation will change, and not one moment before. And it is only the black community who can actually say when the police have been truly rehabilitated. The white media is not going to be able to bestow innocence on the police. They've been trying and they've been failing. So they've been trying to figure out, well, can we get some black people, some stupid black folks looking for attention? We can get them to do it because they know that the only way that the police's image can be repaired is if black people do it. So the white media is up to their old tricks trying to manufacture and invent their own phony baloney phalanx of attention whoring Negroes who they can point to and say, see, we got about 50 or 60 of these little stupid Negroes who have been doing these attention whoring stunts. Some photos with the police. See, the black community says the cops are all right. You don't have to listen to those angry black people online. You don't have to listen to those Black Lives Matter folks. You don't have to listen to those people who are calling out police violence and police anti-black brutality. You don't have to listen to them. You just go ahead and read these stories. See, there's more to it than that. See, the black community, they're saying that the police are all right. They're saying you can stop it with all of this protest against the police. That's what the white media is attempting to do. They're attempting to say that they're attempting to use these morons in order to say, see, the black community, they're giving the police a pass. They're saying the police are all right. The black community has given the police a clean bill of health. But these lies can only stand as long as we're not pushing back against them. And that's where you come in. You are the force multiplier. You guys have been on the job, but you got to stay on the job. Professor Truth cannot be everywhere at once. That's the reason why we got the B1 Brigade. None of us can be everywhere at once. None of us can cover all the bases. Instead of telling me that, Professor Truth, have you heard about this? You need to cover this, need to do that. That's the reason why we are a unit. That's the reason why we're a team. So that I don't have to cover everything. That's the reason why we have a small army to do it. So one person doesn't have to cover everything. The white media doesn't rely on one white media outlet to spread the lies. We cannot rely on one voice in the new black media to spread the truth. All of us have got to be out there doing it. This is a group effort. You got all these dumb Negroes out here helping to push white media lies and white media fantasies. We need motivated and intelligent black people on our side who are spreading the truth, calling this mess out. Whenever they do this mess, they're supposed to get pushback from you. They're supposed to get they're supposed to be countered and challenged by you. The reason all this off-code behavior is going on is because there have not been enough black people consistently saying there's going to be a culture of zero tolerance for black people who play along with the white media's lies. That's what's going to have to happen here. And that begins with you. Don't expect the white media to decide that they're going to abandon their own anti-black PR strategy. The white media depends on the enforcement arm of white supremacy for its survival and its subsistence. You are challenging not only the existence of the white supremacists in law enforcement, you're also challenging the existence of the white media. Why is it that it's so difficult for black people with their heads on straight to get an FCC license so they can broadcast? Well, it's because the FCC says we ain't giving you one. Well, what's to stop me from deciding that I will take the initiative and speak to my people myself? Well, we're going to call on some guys with guns to come to you if you break any of white supremacy's rules. That's what the police represent. They represent the violent edge of white supremacy. White supremacy's guaranteed violence. That's how white supremacy got its power and how it intends to keep it. Through the reliable and predictable use of violence. And that's where the enforcement arm of white supremacy comes in. It's an enforcement arm with an iron fist meant to bludgeon and batter you into submission. So the white media is looking and going, hell, we can't continue telling these lies if there's people who are able to meet us on equal terms and tell the truth. So we're going to have the enforcement arm of white supremacy that will make it where whatever we say goes because we got guys with guns who will make sure of it. So it is not harmless when we got Negroes playing along with that. They are playing a deadly game with all of our lives. And it becomes especially perverted and unacceptable when you got the thugs in blue decide that they're going to Shanghai black babies for their PR stunts. They will sit there and take a picture with a black baby and then turn right around and gun down Charlene Lyles, knowing damn well that this woman's several months pregnant. They will take a photo with a black child and then go online, as some of those thugs in blue were doing, and say, you might want to hug your children extra tight tonight because we know where you live. They do that mess. Amber Geiger's, she could not get enough of ridiculing black people and threatening black people's lives. She couldn't get enough of that mess running black people into the ground. Do you think that if Botham Jean was, say, a 14-year-old black teenager, that she would not have shot him dead? You really believe that? The police have killed black children on the regular. That's the reason why I find these photos to be particularly galling. This is the result of black people who have abandoned their sense and black parents who have abandoned their morality. Well, we have not abandoned ours. You see this mess, you call it out. Because this kind of behavior is not just annoying, it's not just off-putting, it's not just unseemly, it's not just inappropriate. This is betrayal. This helps the white media to set up the next anti-black violence. That's what's going on here. We have to understand it for what it is and call it for what it is. And the people who do this mess, they need to understand that they are out of order. They need to understand that this is unacceptable. They need to understand that they may be content to play footsie with white supremacy's foot soldiers, but we are not.